It's just going to sit here for a second. Let it simmer for everybody. All right. Well, finals there at the bottom. I don't need to repeat it back to anybody. What a game. What a game. I'll catch up with some of y'all's comments here in a second. So we got a few in here, interesting topic points and stuff like that. We'll get into some of y'all's comments and stuff like that. But man, overall vibe of the game, it's every week you feel it coming. You feel it coming. Didn't happen in the manner which I expected it to, as far as the ending there. I thought with 5 minutes or 4 minutes left when they got the ball back there with their timeouts and a chance to drive down, went at their back, kick a field goal out there. Figured it was going to happen early, but they decided just at the end to just give us a little bit of hope and maybe finally that we would end with the ball, have a chance to take the lead or win the game or go into overtime and be in our hands. Well, that was short-lived, wasn't it? A lot to break down. A lot of penalties or lack thereof. Couple more fumbles. The usual suspects. Turnovers. I mean, ill-timed and where they were in the field were horrendous naturally, but that ended up not being the main storyline of this game. So let's dive a little bit into it. First things first, if y'all don't mind leaving a like on the stream, just kind of helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. Sorry, I can't talk. Gets us a little bit more into people's feeds and stuff like that. So I really appreciate it if anybody could just drop a like on the stream. And for those that don't know, my name is Justin Adams. I am your post-game host, content creator here at Nebraska Football, at the Voice of College Football. A few of y'all have seen me here all year, wallowing in the sorrow and kind of, our little therapy session, as we like to call it here. So you can follow me over on X at @the_H-Town Husker, where I tend to stir up some stuff with other teams' fans, or over on Cheesy Corn Sports on YouTube, where we go over fantasy football 2 hours before the games every Sunday. We will answer start-sit questions, kind of casual, just hang out, deal with the commenters, take calls and stuff like that. So hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. Let's get that out of the way. Hope everybody had a great time with their family and friends and loved ones. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And the Black Friday game, I wish it could have gave us a little bit more of a Thanksgiving, a little bit of a treat, a dessert, if you will. But as expected, it did not. So not a lot of confidence going into this game, because of course, why would we? And then the game played out in a very exciting way, albeit with low scoring. But I just think it's like we invent new ways to lose. When I think we're out of ways to lose, we find another way. I don't know. Even if I anticipated throwing an interception there with 15 seconds left, and the situation that compounded it more is the fact that they probably should not have any time left. Our own clock people messed the clock up, and nobody thought to maybe bring it back, slow it down, and look. And nobody noticed the clock. I mean, they have officials and judges and field judges there for a reason to monitor that stuff. But this is asking a lot from Big Ten officiating. That is asking a lot. As we can see, they can't get the basics down. Basic targeting, black and white, pretty clear cut. They can't even get that right. So first things first, let's just get into a little bit of the stats here. Deacon Jones, I mean, albeit very good job by our defense, holding him to 94 yards. Holding him to 94 yards, the dude's kind of terrible as it is, but 11 for 28, 94 yards, 3.4 average. LaShawn Williams, 16 carries, 111 yards with that 53-yard long run, of course. Caleb Johnson, 10 carries for 30 yards. Defense did a really good job. There were some missed tackles here and there still. However, the defense stepped up when they needed to, the second half especially. First half, we clearly lost the first half. Things were looking a little scary there. Came out and played as well as we could for as much as the fourth as we could, and when the game was on the line, that's when the wheels fell off, as per usual. So I'll go ahead and start by getting in just some of your comments here. And well, I guess this first one about sums up what I just said. The game should not have had any time left on the clock. So I have no idea. I have no idea who specifically job it is to monitor that stuff, but there's somebody there monitoring those things. You have people in booths up in wherever they have them in studios watching these things, and nobody caught it. So, first full game I've watched all season, that debacle. I'll have to ask, how did Nebraska win 5 games this year? Good question. There were some easier games on the schedule. The worst part is, I mean, we were a few one-score wins away from being damn near 9-2 like Iowa, so, or 10-2 now. But I already see a lot of it on X and Twitter, whatever you want to call it, about the talk about Matt Rule and all that stuff. And we'll get into that, right? Like I'm not gonna ignore all that talk and stuff like that about Matt Rule and people calling for his head and stuff like that. But I've exercised patience with him this year. I know patience, my own patience is thin. How don't the refs keep the official clock on the field? Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm wondering. I'm wondering whose job, or if we can find out in the aftermath, whose job it is to actually monitor those things and keep up to date with those, with the time, because somebody's job on the field has to be to catch that, right? Everybody has a job on the field. Somebody somewhere dropped the ball. I don't care what anybody says. Those scoreboard operators are not 100% all the time, and these things get buzzed down all the time for these in ones that aren't even that egregious. Couple seconds here and there, they'll buzz down to get the time right. The refs will come, hey, run that clock back to 47 seconds. Where was that in this game? Where was that? Okay. And that wasn't even, I mean, that was a pretty egregious miss, but that wasn't even the worst miss of the game. More of the misses were the lack of calls, until we're holding there, on our interception return, and then they finally want to make a call. So screw, game was over, missing. So yeah, just the clock. Yep, exactly. 10 refs the worst in country. Yeah, I'm right there with you on these. And I don't want to. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with y'all stuff here. I asked this last week. Someone please tell me the progress so incited about my rule significantly contributed to 4 laws. Yeah, so to that, I think again, multiple things can be true. I think he's contributed a lot to the progress of this team, but he's also contributed a lot to the losses, as you say. Clock management is not in his DNA, and part of me wonders if the clock management issue is because he's used to a team, or maybe most coaches aren't used to a team that's this inept offensively. So maybe, I mean, not a lot of teams have been this inept offensively. Lowest over under in college football history leading into this game at 24.5. So part of me wonders if it's like, okay, maybe normally with a normal situation and a normal offense, some of this clock management that he's trying to do will work. However, in this situation, like a minute and a half when we have the ball and it's first down, like I am terrified about them getting the ball back. Like I'm like, we need to start running the ball here. And we're on our own side of the field, 25 seconds left. We can't even move the ball. Minute and a half left. Well, I'm thinking about like how when we go 3 and out, how much time are they going to have left to get the ball, get the wind at their back and stuff like that. It's hard. And I think it's probably very difficult to manage this time on this offense, but it's bad. It was very bad. It's been bad for the last 8 halves of football. It seems like going into every halftime, going into the end of every game, it's clock management, it's clock management. And not only did Matt Rule have bad clock management, our clock operator had bad clock management, and the officials can't monitor the clock. So it's all bad. Nobody knew what they were doing with the clock. Okay, we need clocks somewhere. Somebody's got to figure out the clock situation. I don't know who it is. But I digress. Matt Rule, yes, very, very bad. Team management, the team plays very bad under pressure in those moments, offensively and seemingly defensively at times. And it's a head scratcher right now. It leaves us all wondering Who is this falling on? Why over the course of this season, we're supposed to learn these lessons over the course of the season, the timing of these fumbles, how to, secure the football, how to manage the clock, coaching. Like I know players develop over the season, but coaching also has to develop, right? How are we not paying attention to these things in the film? How are the coaches not looking at these things in the film or like thinking ahead? Like in this situation, how am I going to manage the clock? In this situation, how am I going to manage the clock? It should not be. I get sometimes you're going to mismanage the clock. It's the nature of the beast. But every single week, every single half, it can't be that frequent. It cannot be that frequent. Part of me is a little bit almost relieved that I don't have to deal with this another week because I can't deal with the stress anymore. I'm tired of going into every game, no matter what happens in the beginning, no matter what happens early on. I'm like, this game is going to end up being close. We're going to lose in the waning seconds of the game. And lo and behold, I posted 5 minutes left. I said 0% chance we win this game. 5 minutes left. As soon as we missed that field goal, I pretty much chalked up as the game was over because that's how it goes. We have an opportunity every single time to do something. The 1 week it was we had an interception in the end zone with a chance to take the lead on the field goal. Lost that game, right? This week it's a missed field goal. Last week, we know what happened last week. It's written in the stars for this team. And when will it end? I had a card pulled up on the screen last week that just said, when will it end? And it's not this week. That's for sure. You're thinking, going into this game, the biggest thing that Nebraska could get out of this outside of bowl eligibility, though, is the momentum going into the offseason to have a chance to showcase yourself against a top 25 team at home. Black Friday, a lot of eyes watching, and take that momentum into a bowl game, and then try to use that momentum to get you some maybe, momentum on the recruiting front or the transfer portal front, show something offensively, show some kind of life, and finish the season with some kind of momentum. Also, the 14 practices that you will get from a bowl game are paramount with a team this young. Those 14 extra practices would have been huge. And instead, we're left here scratching our heads because we couldn't handle business when we needed to. The Michigan States, the Marylands, the Wisconsins, those are the teams that we needed to beat. Sorry, my eyes dry. Those are the teams that we needed to beat. I'm crying. Sorry. And didn't. We didn't take care of business in those games, and that's what led us to this situation in Iowa, where we had to win. And I would love to say credit to Iowa for making plays, but they got helped as much as you possibly could. It's frustrating, very frustrating. They didn't make the plays, but we gave them the plays to make. The fumbles, they ain't causing those fumbles. The interception, the linebacker's just sitting there, probably spying or something. He's just sitting there, throws it right to him. There's no effort. That didn't require any effort from their part. It's just us giving them the ball. I'm offended that they call those takeaways because they're not takeaways. They're here. We don't know how to win. Here, you go win. Take this ball. You go take it down there and you kick it. You see the yellow things, you're going to kick it right through there and you're going to win this game. Okay? That's what we do. They're not takeaways. They're giveaways. So, all right, I'm going to rant about the OC. What happens this offseason? Do 8, 5, 6 teams we lose? Go bowling. Who transfers? And we'll have a new DC next season. Honestly, I'm not going to bank on the I know with the 5-win situation with the bowl games, I think they go academics, and I think the highest in that range will get the first dibs as a 5-win bowl team. So I don't know. I know we've gotten that 1 year, we didn't get it another year. So that one I'm not even gonna try to guess on that one because I just don't want to get my hopes up for anything, and I also don't want to see this happen again. I don't want my hopes up 2 weeks to prep for another game just to have my hopes dashed again. So, who transfers? Of course, I do feel we're probably going to have some turnover on offense. Defensively, I think a lot of the guys are going to stay. We have a lot of young guys on defense. I mean, they're experienced, but not all seniors. I think we got a couple seniors on defense, majority juniors. We're gonna see who declares, who doesn't. Of course, the news this past week, Ty Robinson is staying. So that's huge. Ty Robinson, of course, and Nash Hutmacher are what makes that defense go. You know, they plug up that middle, the two big field goal blocks. Wish we could have won the game for them. Two big field goal blocks there. So that to me is the biggest news. I think what it's going to be is a matter of Tony White. I think Tony White defensively is going to be hard to tell because I want to make sure that we retain Tony White. That is the biggest thing this offseason we need to focus on because he is going to get offers to be a head coach somewhere. And so if we want to retain the majority of these defensive players, Tony White needs to stay put. So defensively, I'm gonna leave that one incomplete. Offensively, who do I think we lose? Kemp Coleman stay, in my opinion. I think those two stay. Fedoni, I think he stays. Sims. The biggest question mark to me is Sims right now. What does Sims do? Because he's getting NIL money and he has a year of eligibility remaining. Do we force him out? How does that work? Do we force him out? What are we going to do with that situation? I think that's going to be the biggest thing because we need to free up that NIL money first off. We can't be paying Jeff Sims as much as we're probably paying him to just sit there and do nothing. And when he does step on the field, fumble the ball all the time. Yeah, it's tough to say, but I think right now offensively on the offensive side of the ball is where we have the biggest concern of losing guys, of course. And then also, but the big issue too is who's going to want to transfer into play here with this offense. And that's why to me, this game was important. And then trying to get into a bowl game was important to just get a little bit of momentum that direction, just something. At least the win looks better than the loss, top 15, you get a little good publicity going into it. Now it's going to be how well these coaches can talk these guys into coming back and how much we can talk these guys in the transfer portal into coming, because we're going to need to go after multiple portal QBs. One is not enough. Multiple portal QBs is first and foremost. Then, of course, wide receivers, running backs. The depth that we had this year was lost immediately to injury. So one thing I will say, the positive that came out of the season with those injuries is these young guys got valuable game experience, okay? There's also a lot of freshmen that haven't seen the field that have been getting a lot of talk from people within the program. I trust, that are showing out, right? So I know the potential is there, but this team is way too young. And we saw it this year that when the depth is gone, when these frontline starters got hurt, we had nothing but freshmen underclassmen. And that can't happen. So the portal's huge this year. It's going to be depth. And we're going to have to take some heavy swings and try to get some big names. But at the end of the day, we got to nickel and dime our way in there too. We got to be able to, Matt Rule's got to use that eye that he has for these underrated talents. Your Jalen Petries, again, that he had at Baylor, converted him from a 2-star or no star into now a legitimate, Pro Bowl level safety in the NFL. He needs to use that eye for talent and go get some of these under the radar guys in the transfer portal, because it's going to be tough sledding to compete with some of these big dogs for these big name guys that are going to be in there, especially quarterbacks, to get them to come over and play. So the good news, Chuba showed flashes, man. Chuba did show flashes. What a terrible way to end it though, because there was a lot of good. There's a lot of good he did, and it sucks that it ended that way for him. So the OC, yeah, I mean, we ran about the OC every week, right? I think at this point, that is what it is. He's not going anywhere, so we're going to have to figure out and hope he figures out what he's doing. I don't know, again, how much of this is to do with just the turnover and the churn offensively, How much is it to do with the fact that he's rotating 3 quarterbacks through there trying to get somebody who even protect the ball? But it appears that, in the beginning, I feel like I talked about this every week, short intermediate pass game, running, we were getting 2, 3 yards at a time there, and it was working. The 2 or 3 yards, and then we run for another 2 or 3 yards, and it sets us up for 3rd and short. That was working. Then all of a sudden, we wanna just change it up a little bit and start trying to, the deep pass play worked, right? It worked because Iowa showed blitz, and then when they went to back it out, they were late backing their defenders back out. That guy got sucked up. He's gone. Once he gets a step on you, it's over. Chuba completes the throw. That was that was Iowa trying to get pretty cute defensively and trying to show pressure and then back it off. They got beat over the top. And yeah, we made them pay. And it's good that Chuba made them pay. However, that was just one of those moments where if Iowa stays in their sound defense, they probably don't get beat over the top there. So yeah, just not a good season all around for Satterfield. Not a good season all around. Not a good ending at all, dare I say, because if we started the season this way and ended it the opposite, we're feeling a little bit better about everything. Harburg only QB to win a game this year. Mistake to bench him. I don't think so. Once Harburg got injured, at that point, he loses his ability. His whole game is running, and once he got banged up, and I believe it was an ankle, and ankles don't heal up quick. A year and a half ago, I had a grade 2 ligament tear in my right ankle. It still hurts me. So I think having a compromised Harburg out there wouldn't have been the best idea. I think Chuba is the best processor of the game. I think Chuba gave us the best opportunity to win, and he did give us an opportunity to win, but yeah, Nebraska's going to Nebraska, right? So I don't think it was a mistake. I think they had no choice because of the Harburg ankle injury. So I think that's an easy decision for them when Harburg is on 100%. Even though because when he was 100%, it seemed like the hits were starting to take a toll. As we kind of said before, earlier in the season, he was very aggressive in attacking. When he would run, he would get downhill quickly, right? His acceleration was good. He would get downhill quickly and he would fall forward 5-6 yards, or he was putting his body on the line. But I think running 19, 20, 22 times a game, it started to take an effect on his body, right? And not only saying that because of the injury, I said that in the lead up to him even getting injured was because the way he started to run the ball. The way he started to run the ball, he was a little bit more, I guess, a little bit dancing and a little bit more horizontal as opposed to getting vertical like he was earlier in the season. And I think that was just the accumulation of hits just started to take a toll on him. I'm sorry, but unless you've played football at a level like that, it's hard to know what kind of effect getting hit by 300-pound guys, as a quarterback does to you. And I think just over the course of time that he started to feel those a little bit more, and that's when he started to run a little more tentatively. And when he started to run tentatively is really when the ball security issues started to happen, is really when he started thinking, is really when he started making mistakes. So, it's hard to say, but I think Chuba was the right move there for sure. Or the 3 or 4 targeting fouls, only one got reviewed. And the one that got reviewed was about as clear as it gets, right? Like that commentator is about the dumbest guy I've ever heard commentate in my life. I feel like he was horrible. And even he was like, that's clear cut targeting. They missed holds left and right. They missed targetings left and right. And even I don't know how you review that. Like when they buzz down to tell you, hey, that's a penalty, and you don't overturn it. Like how rare is that where they buzz down to tell you like that's targeting, it doesn't get overturned? If they're buzzing down to tell you it's targeting, 95% of the time that call gets overturned. That was clear and obvious as it gets. How important was that 15 yards now? Because we go down there and we miss that field goal. Okay. Whole different trajectory if that 15 yards is tacked onto that, because play calling changes. Everything changes. You're at a different spot in the field. Different spot in the field, play calling changes, everything changes. We then can't say, oh, we missed the field goal, would have missed it anyways. Well, even if that was the case, we would have been 15 yards closer. He's not trying to kick that with as much leg, so he's not pulling that left like he did. Just big miss after big miss, and it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Those misses, those like little things here and there, the clock and all that stuff led up to what happened? And did any of y'all, when that happened with the clock, did any of y'all think to yourselves, this is gonna come back to bite us in the ass? Because that was a thought in my mind that I was like, watch this fuck up end up coming to screw us. And it did. So last overtime, me disappointed everybody. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, another week of this. Man, I don't want to coming off a win, we'd probably be feeling a little different because um, you know, we'd be coming off a top 25 win at home, first since 2016, going to a bowl game. The vibe would be different. We'd probably be feeling a lot better going into a bowl game. But for what? Honestly, for what? It would have probably been about the same. Again, just the only big thing is the 14 practices. But as a fan, it's brutal. It's brutal, brutal. The clock is tied to the officials. I don't think scoreboard clock is actually run by. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how that works because your boy's not very technologically inclined. So I didn't know if they trusted enough to be able to do that. So even more so a reason to blame the officials, right? Good God. Hearing so and so is coming back for another season is not good news for his team. It desperately needs faster, fitter, more talented players. The bonehead clock mismanagement. Yeah, this is where it's going to be really, really imperative where coaching evaluation is important, right? Because they need the ability to evaluate these guys quickly, right? And in a very bad situation, they need to evaluate the film on these guys and see who they want to retain. Because as important as scouting these transfer portal guys and scouting these guys we got to come in, scouting the players that we already have, there's a lot of things people don't talk about. A lot of times people don't talk about that. Scouting the players that we already have and understanding who needs to stay and who we need to kind of have a real conversation with and just give them the opportunity, to go. Because that is equally as important because we definitely need to clear. I mean, our 24 recruiting class is pretty full, right? So this turnover, it has to be quick for every one guy to go. They need to have a better replacement ready to go. It's got to start now, just getting ready to attack this transfer portal because they don't have a lot of time. And again, the recruiting class is full or near full. So, a big news, maybe Grant Bricks, Grant Bricks watch. He's got a crystal ball last week to Nebraska. It's looking like Grant Bricks is a little bit closer to being in with us. So that would be huge, but it may not be a day one starter. We got to hit this transfer portal hard, man. Got to hit it hard. And then that in comes with, you got to know who's going to be leaving. You can't lose your depth. You guys dealing with the Scott Frost curse. I don't believe in curses, man, but dang, it's getting really hard to stick by that. I can't even put into words like the feeling it is. I can't put into words of just how hard is it for me to sit here and say we're not cursed, and yet I have to sit here in front and put on my clown makeup before we hop on here and do this every week. But I still don't believe in curses. Again, I believe in a team that doesn't know how to win, and I believe in a culture of losing that is happening right now. But it's got to turn quick. It's got to turn quick. Nebraska has to start winning, dude. Like this team's not going to recruit on history forever. At some point, these kids are going to need to see this team start to win, and that's the only way we're gonna get these guys in transfer portal. And what we put out on the field, trying to get these guys to come into this university right now. Matt Rule is a great talker, and I really hope he got some convincing. He's got a lot of convincing to do under his belt to talk guys into coming in playing for this offense right now. Why do you have to call that timeout and call a play that got intercepted? Yeah, so the timeout was just adds to it's inexplicable. I ask why he called the timeout. Why does he challenge that play? Back on our side of the field on that first down where we then got the false start, part of me wonders if he challenged that to maybe put us maybe he thought it was there, the potential was there that he got the first down, and then starting 1st and 15 maybe would be better than 1st and 6 or 2nd and 6. I don't know, because regardless, the penalty happened. The penalty sticks because it doesn't count as a play run. It's a pre-snap penalty. Pre-snap infractions don't count as a play. So no matter what, the penalty was going to stand, whether they called it first down or not. I don't know if 1st and 15 is that much better than 2nd and 6, but maybe it was a clock thing. Maybe, that was the point. We had a minute and a half left. Maybe he thought like an extra play, just in case we don't get this, to burn some clock. Maybe you have them burn a timeout. Who knows? Another expected loss. Yeah, Bruce, right there with you, man. Like I said, coming into it, just the couple there late in the game, it's just like you knew it was the writing's on the wall. Obviously, he hasn't got a clue. He's removed from play calling 2 jobs. At least. Yeah, and coming into the year, South Carolina fans were not high on Satterfield. I will say they were like, thank God that y'all got him. Have fun with him. And who am I to argue with them at this point? It was again, I don't necessarily think Satterfield can take too much of the blame. Overall big picture, just because there's blame to go to everybody. I said this last week. I just don't want all the finger point at Satterfield, because finger point needs to be diverted. I think we have this thing where we key in on one part of the game that went awry, and we just really start pointing our finger at that one person, and that takes accountability away from the rest of the things that need it. Talked a lot of bad. Can I talk about one player that played really, really well today? Buschini. Buschini played a hell of a game. Credit to Buschini. He had to be good today. He was good today. He lost the punt battle by 2 yards, and he had a 50-yarder to Iowa's longest was 49. Credit to Buschini coming off of the rough week last week. Punting is a lot of mental in the game. Punting is a lot of mental because it's a lot of repeating the same motions, a lot of muscle memory. You got to take that the same way. That ball's got to leave your foot a certain way each time. Just any lapse in concentration, and you're screwed. Okay, Buschini did what he needed to do, and I don't want to get out of here without giving Buschini his credit for a great game punting. He did a really good job, especially off of the heat that he got last week from that 18-yard punt and that average of 34, I believe it was. Credit to Buschini, because I'm on my soapbox of negativity here. It's hard. But Buschini, great game overall. And Alvano, Alvano came in, and this is what I talked about on the Tuesday Live, is just trying to get Alvano a little bit more consistent, man. He's got the leg. It doesn't seem like, it seems like he makes the pressure kicks, half the time, and he doesn't half the time. It's not, I don't know if it's not a pressure thing. I just don't, I think just he needs a little bit of I think with an offseason, I think he's going to be great next year. I think Alvano is perfectly fine. It's just he could not find consistency. But how is Alvano supposed to find consistency when nothing on offense, nothing on that side of the ball is consistent, So hopefully, because Alvano's got the best leg of anybody we've had in a long time, and he's one of the best talents we've had in a long time. So same old story for this franchise. Yeah. Players don't want to play for rule. See, that one, I don't think that's true. Just because of Ty Robinson's coming back for year 6. Ty Robinson definitely has a chance to get drafted. Will probably be drafted if he was electing to go. And I don't think you can take that for granted. I don't think that can be taken lightly, that Ty Robinson's going to stay. I think if Frost was the coach, Ty Robinson's gone. So there's that. Ty Robinson did not play well under Frost. I don't know if people remember coming in. Ty Robinson's a 4-star. He's a high 3-star, 4-star. I remember that class, we got 4 out of the top 5 players of the state of Arizona. And Ty Robinson was probably, I think it was the crown jewel of that class, right? And we've been waiting on him to make an impact. And this year he made his biggest impact. And I think a lot of credit has to go to not only Tony White, but the fact that Matt Rule was able to convince him to come back. We got to point the finger at Matt Rule where we can, and we also got to give credit to Matt Rule where we can, because Ty Robinson coming back is massive. Because if we had to replace Ty as well in this transfer portal, along with all the other decisions and changes we got to make, yeah, it's rough. False start doesn't count because he gets it. The false start doesn't count. See, I was under a different impression. I was under the impression that since a false start's a but I don't know how that works, because then the clock is stopped. Maybe it's because when the clock doesn't stop when you're short of a first down naturally, and then when they have to stop to move the change, maybe that's the difference. That could very well be the difference. I know if it was a let's say he was trying to challenge 3 yards, but not the first down, it still would have stood with the false start. So Hawks, 2 more games for us. Yeah, I mean, hey, congrats, doing your thing, man. You won the game. It's the name of the game at the end of it. Midfield with under a minute to play. Only need around 20 yards for a field goal. Filling up like Phil had momentum. Of course, a pick. And Iowa. Yeah. Add midfield with what was that interception? 15 seconds left when they got it down on their side of the field, and then they had that, of course, that big run. So 15 seconds left after we threw that interception. I think it was 22 on the clock, and we threw it. That was the moment where part of us is thinking like, okay, well, can't lose here, right? Like we're either gonna get it, somewhat in field goal range and have a chance to at least take a shot and win the game, or go to overtime, or just play for OT. Chuba made plays all game with his arm, didn't turn the ball over, didn't throw an interception until, in total Nebraska fashion, we absolutely couldn't have it happen, and it happened. Yeah. That none of our QBs not a read pre-snap reads and coverage when watching. I don't understand why the ball goes where it goes sometimes. So Sims and Harburg have zero ability. Watching their film, they lock on to one read 98% of the snaps. It's one read and we're gone. Even if it's a pass play and they're letting the pass play develop. That Sims deep crosser, that interception where he threw 3 interceptions that game, I believe, and this was a deep one where he overthrew Kemp by about 5 yards. That deep crosser, again, was one of those plays that when they run that play, the design is to have the quarterback see which of those 2 guys comes open. They're going to cross. The defensive backs are going to have to stay with their guys, or they're going to get mixed up, and 2 are going to go this way. This guy's going to get open, right? Instead, what happens, Jeff Sims is watching Billy Kemp's route the entire time. Billy Kemp breaks in. 3 defenders are by Kemp. Nobody, I forget who was running the other route. Nobody was, I think it might have been Jay Lloyd. Nobody was with him. Nobody was with Jalen Lloyd. And he comes open and he still peppers it to Billy Kemp. Just no processing there. Harburg's the same thing, but Harburg never tried to convince us that Harburg was a great processor of the game. He was a big guy who could run and could pass here and there. Chuba Purdy is the best processor of the game. I just think Chuba right now needs more experience. Naturally, last year he was thrown to the wolves. Tough situation. Him and Smothers were thrown into such a bad spot last year, just trying to come in the situations that they did when Casey Thompson got hurt in the middle of games and tough games and stuff like that. And then Chuba Purdy thrust in at the end of the season in a couple of big-time games this year, showed flashes, right? And I think the biggest thing that they pointed out on the screen was the point where he had 7 completions and 7 passes to 7 different receivers, right? That shows to me right there that he is processing the game. He's looking. He's trying to find the open man. And the lack of mistakes he makes. A lot of finger pointing goes to, the completion percentage and stuff like that. It's the plays that he didn't try to make that were the biggest plays over the last couple of weeks. When Chuba Purdy doesn't see something down the field, he did have where he tried to make something happen with that little, I don't know if he was trying to fake a pitch or pitch it around to the running back, that fumble. Outside of that, though, those plays that they show overhead where there's nobody open, maybe there's somebody open for a split second, even then it's a tight window, but he takes it and he tries to get some yards or he throws it away. Not enough credit is given to quarterbacks who make those plays. It's not about always making the play. It's about knowing when the play's not there to be made, right? Chuba does that better than any quarterback right now, of knowing when the play's got to die and when he just needs to get what he can and that comes with his processing, because he's able to quickly go here. Okay, nothing's there. I need to go. And Sims and Harburg, when they feel that they have to pass, they're sitting back there and it's just panic. They're sitting back there and nothing's open and they're just like, I don't know what to do and I'm just going to throw it. And that leads to the passing that we saw. So Chuba Purdy, I think much of maligned, but I think also very bad situations he's been put in. Give him an offseason. and give him an offseason as a couple starts under his belt and things like that, some more film to go off of. He's been the scout team guy majority of the season, came in and played against two tough defenses, and on the road in Wisconsin, at home against Iowa, and he did his thing, man. So I really like Chuba's prospect going into next year. I know we got Daniel Kalen coming in, who's going to be he's going to be good, but Daniel Kalen is just he's a true freshman. He's going to be a true freshman. So you don't want to rely on true freshmen, especially with depth. That's what happened when Casey Thompson went down and we were down with Smothers. And it's never a good idea to have to rely on a true freshman. So hopefully find a quarterback next year somewhere. Yeah, this offseason, we have to find two portal QBs minimum. 2 minimum portal QBs. Absolutely. Cy Purdy's a trooper. Made a bad throw, but not blaming him. Yeah, I'm not blaming him either. I'm not blaming him just because there's so many things, again, that go wrong leading into that moment. And that was the biggest mistake he made and at the worst time. And that does fall on him. However, he was by far, without a doubt, far and away, the best quarterback we had this season. Even in those couple of moments, but far and away, it wasn't even close. So Paul through quarter. Not all three. We don't need all three of them to leave. I don't even know if Harburg has eligibility left. I think this might be his last year. So I need to double check on that. But Daniel Kalen, he's going to be very good. I agree. Also a great peer recruiter. Daniel Kalen's a very good peer recruiter as well. He is Huskers all the time. When the opportunity opened for him to come to Nebraska, he took it. So Daniel Kalen is a Husker kid through and through, but true freshman, again, we can't expect him to do much next year. Oh, what's up, Mark? Yeah, man, heartbreaker. So I text you after. I'm just like, this is unbelievable. He's making strides. That's what I do caution people. Like, again, I don't want to be the guy that's just sitting here, praying to the God of Matt Rule, and everybody's like, shut this guy up. Again, I think a lot of things can be true at one time. We don't have to look at things in a vacuum. They're not mutually exclusive, right? He can have made progress, and I point to the issues that we had last year. If you write down a list of all the issues that Nebraska had last year leading into this season, right? And now you wrote a list of the issues that Nebraska has this season leading into next. That list is smaller. That's progress. Okay. That's a very high level overview way to look at it, but that is progress. Okay. Plain and simple. The turnovers got worse. Yes. But honestly, play calling, clock management, and turnovers. That are 3 biggest things going into this offseason. Whereas last year, it was defense, offense, turnovers, penalties, you name it. There was no hope. It felt like there was 0 hope last year. We have a defense. We need to retain Tony White, of course. The hardest unit, in my opinion, to build is a defense. We have a defense that has 2 seniors on it, a bunch of juniors, sophomores, young guys coming in that are stepping up. The defense is the hardest unit to build, and we have built that. I think the easiest thing to fix through the portal is the offense, naturally, because those are the guys that you can go in there, you grab 1 or 2 playmakers. Nebraska, you get 1 or 2 playmakers on this team, Nebraska's 5-7 season turns into an 8-9 win season. Simple as that. So we're in a great position still. Yes, great position. It hurts. The emotions are like high right now, and that's the biggest thing that just it makes us hard to look at things in that perspective. Joe would benefit greatly from consistent running games, passing QB it can run, not the other way around. And when we do have any consistency in the run game, it stops. Satterfield will be, big run there in the first little bit. The run game starts to work, and then I think we get a little bit too cute with it. But the cutesiness work there with the deep ball. I think it's okay to take the deep shots. I just think when we're passing 10 yards down the field more than 20% of the game, we're wrong. Like, we can take shots here and there. Yes, we can send the ball down the field, but the the sequence of the play calling and the situational play calling is where the problem lies. It's in those moments where we need to really hammer in and have a plan. It seems like we don't have much of a plan. And again, partially that could be due to the offensive churn, having three different quarterbacks in there with three, albeit different play styles. Sims and Harburg, very similar, but different in ways. Chuba Purdy, can run, but he's a game managing quarterback. You got to let him process the game, get out there and make plays. And so I have to win 6 of the first 7. Yeah, last 5 games are tough. They did us no favors. The Big Ten hates us. I firmly believe that since the COVID season in 2020, where we wanted to play football, and us on Ohio State wanted to play football, the Big Ten has been out to get us ever since. And this next year's schedule is part of the reason. I cannot wait to see some of these California teams playing some cold weather, though. Could you imagine them out there in that 14-degree wind chill? That'll be interesting. The cold might play defense for us against those teams. But, yeah, Ohio State, oh, man. Just having Ohio State in our schedule in general, let alone that rough stretch towards the end, yeah, they did us no favors there. Tough because we have no offense. Yep. Very Kyle Beggs, another better season this year, 2025 breakout year, 3rd years. Yeah, Rule. So, and we said that coming into the season. Rule was very, very open earlier on this season that this was not going to be a quick turnaround. He was very, very. Even when, Nebraska won a couple games and we lost, he's like, I don't know why. We told you this wasn't going to be a 1-year turnaround. He's a program builder, 2 to 3 years. What makes that hard to look at right now is the fact that we were this close to so much more, that close to so much more. Had we have lost, had the games played out differently, like let's say we come in here and, we win some 1-score games, we lose some 1-score games, blow a couple teams out, get blown out a couple games. It doesn't end in this bad stretch at the end of the season. Maybe we're looking at the season a little differently, but I think it's just because it played out the same way it has the last few years, that it's like PTSD, right? It's like your body knows it's not where it was in that trauma, but then your mind thinks it's back there. That's what it kind of feels like. It's like college football PTSD with this stuff. It's just like, we know we have a different coach. We know we're in a different situation. We know we're a little bit better off than we were, and we know we're trending up. However, it sure don't feel that way after some of these losses at all. So, all right. Real quick, guys, I'm going to go into our sponsor here at the Voice of College Football. As y'all know, we are partnered with Ticket Smarter. So if you want to get a ticket to the big game and stuff like that, it's always good to save money. All these places charge fees. Actually just used a Ticket Smarter discount code earlier this year. So like I said, I've used it one time. That's it. So I can only vouch for the one time that I've used it when we first got the promo code. So if you want to go check out the ticket prices, save you a little bit of money, code BIG for $10 off a purchase of at least $100, or promo code BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of at least $300 at ticketsmarter.com. Shop smarter, ticket smarter. So go ahead and go over there and use the discount code, because why not? It's free money. Free money? Is there such thing as free money? Nothing's free in this world. But go over and use that promo code over at Ticket Smarter. And shout out to Ticket Smarter for sponsoring us here. So back into the game a little bit more. Pull this back up here. Sorry, let me pull y'all's comments back up. Try to keep up with your comments and everything. Jackson, and appreciate you hopping in here. Everybody who's in here too, that usually always in here hanging out with me, appreciate it. Y'all have made it a lot easier to survive this season. So be a solid team. If we could figure out an offense, we'd be a national championship contender at this point. All right, guys. Yeah, Jackson. So Jackson's a Bama fan. So he's the emotionless one here of the crew. So we'll take his unbiased perspective as a positive, because it is a positive. I agree with him, though. I do agree with you. We're on the right direction. Scared of UCLA, nothing UCLA will be. Yeah, I think it's more so though. I think it's more so the fact that we have no offense. So it's like they have no defense and we have no offense. Who's going to win? It's like the unbreakable. It's like the opposite of the unmovable force or movable object against the unbreakable, whatever, however the phrase goes. I don't know. It's going to be the opposite of that. It's like no defense, no offense. Can we shoot ourselves in the foot enough? Yeah. And again, I think the cold weather is going to play defense for us. And those last time with the Rose Bowl lost by 100 points at Callahan. I don't know about 100, but I'll believe it. It was Bill Callahan. That's not. Bill Callahan kind of seems like, man, come on, man, just come back over here and be our offensive coordinator. So next head coach, UCLA, Lincoln Riley, QB, Whisper, probably Casey Williams. Yeah, Caleb Williams, man. I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy at all. But yeah, Lincoln Riley is an offensive mastermind. I do agree. He's going to have their offense fine. Thumbs at quarterback, fine gold. Yeah. So we're going to be better. All right. Let's look forward a little bit. Nebraska will be better next year. The schedule will be harder. So take that for what it's worth. Not saying the record will be better. Nebraska will be better. Schedule's much more difficult. I don't have an issue with the more difficult schedule. I do like that Nebraska will be tested, and I do like that there's some momentum to be gained earlier in the season. However, let's go into it a little bit more here. Who do y'all think is the most important, I would say, player to retain this, besides Ty Robinson, of course? Who's the most important player to retain, and or who do you think should be the biggest target in the transfer portal? I don't know. We'll wait to see who some of these guys are in the transfer portal. I'm not really, I try to look at a list of names that are potentials, but it's going to be tough sledding. And yeah, so who do y'all think is the most important player to retain right now on this team? Who do y'all think? And not coaching staff included, because we know Tony White is going to be. Listen, I'm sorry, but we pay so many coaches so much money to not coach this team. Tony White better get a bag. He better be the highest paid coordinator in college football. Sorry, if he's not, he better be at the end of this. Princewell, yeah, Princewell. I mean, what a year for him. That's the biggest thing. These young guys, keeping them here. I think defensively, like I said, I think it's going to be a lot easier. Offensively is where we're going to have the issue. Malachi Coleman, yeah, especially because look at who Coleman was recruited by, who we had to battle with there at the end. Can't have that happening. That can't happen. So got to keep Coleman. I think Malachi is my biggest one that I want to make sure that we keep an eye on and hold on to. But part of me feels good about Malachi this offseason. I feel like Malachi's bought in. I do like where we stand with him. I think Billy Kemp's in. Billy Kemp's starting to run me a little bit of Wan'Dale Robinson, though, in the fact that Wan'Dale was our offense, our entire offense. The man played running back. He was like all of 5'7". Played running back, ran between the tackles, played receiver, just beat to hell. We got him beat to hell. And, he's fighting for tough yards. He wasn't lighting up, like when he went to Kentucky, putting him all the numbers and stuff like that. I feel like Billy Kim's getting beat up because we're using him a lot of the same ways. He came out of the backfield today. We're not running between the tackles, but we're really not doing a good job of getting Billy Kemp at space. And Billy Kemp is getting beat up. He is a small dude, and he is getting beat up out there. Yeah, Billy Kemp needs to. We need to get Billy Kemp some help, because we're going to end up in the same position we were with Wan'Dale. If Billy Kemp's too small to be the guy peppered with all the targets in this offense, he just can't take those hits. And so that's another reason why it's going to be important to get a skill position player that can come in and produce immediately. Malachi Coleman, I expect to take a big leap because he has taken big steps and big strides over the course of the season. Billy Kemp, I think he's going to take a big step in the next level. But you can't keep using him like he is. He's going to transfer if he, albeit because he's not having a good enough statistical season to warrant him getting looks, to go to the next level. but also his body's getting beat to hell. And little things like that, that's why Wandale transferred. I'm sorry. He didn't like the way he was being used, and his body's getting beat up. That's where coach Nebraska or A&M. Well, shoot. I don't know. A&M might beat us with their entire buyout on Jimbo, but that'd be hard to tell because we might still be paying 3 coaches back at this point. Tony White's salary should be doubled. Yeah, I don't care what he asks for. Give him a blank check, put it on his desk, and tell him, write down the number, and we'll pay it. Boosters will pay it. I'm sorry. Our boosters paid. Our boosters didn't want to wait 2 weeks to save like $10 million since firing Scott Frost. They'll pay it to keep Tony White and this defense elite. Great offensive line coach in the NFL. Yeah, Carolina was just one of those. Just wasn't a good head coach. Just young with skill players, recruiting and transfer portal help. Yep, it's necessary. It's necessary. Without recruiting. Okay, like I said, the 24 class is kind of already kind of structured the way it's going to be. Maybe 1 or 2 pieces. Grant Bricks is huge right now. The most important thing on all of our minds should be the Grant Bricks watch, because getting Grant Bricks in to anchor that offensive line, that's going to be big for Raiola. That's going to be a big recruit for the offense, and hopefully Grant Bricks can peer recruit too, because Grant Bricks he's been the biggest watch this season. Of course, Brandon Baker, the 5-star, he came in there, made a second visit, but Bricks has always been the crown jewel and the piece that we've been wanting to get from this class. He just is taking forever to make the announcement. He swung a little bit Oklahoma's direction. Now that has kind of, fizzled off, and now it's swung more back towards Nebraska. So hopefully we'll find that out soon. I will say on the channel going forward, we're going to be doing a lot of recruiting. I'm going to be doing a lot of recruiting videos, breaking news, and stuff like that on this channel. So I'm going to be in on the recruiting, on the transfer portal stuff. I'm going to be constantly updating on that. So I will have my nose way deep in that stuff. So keep an eye out for that stuff. So Bricks, hopefully, will have an announcement not too far in the distant future. So I think Kemp had 1 year to play one. He's recruited by Baylor. Oh, he only had 1 year to play one? I don't know why I thought he had another. Emmett Johnson's a redshirt freshman, though. So Emmett Johnson, tons of eligibility left. Want to definitely keep Emmett Johnson. Like you said, Prince Will, those guys. Nobody's glaring right now that I think is 100% going to leave. But I do think there's going to be 1 or 2 unexpected, kind of like we had last year. Linebacker I will not mention, that's playing over at Michigan now. We'll have 1 or 2 unexpected, but the biggest thing for the staff right now is to get these guys and find out where their heads at. And see. They need to be able to know and make sure there's no surprises for the coaching staff. The coaching staff needs to know where their heads are at, and the coaching staff needs to know which moves are going to be made. If the coaching staff is trying to play catch up in the transfer portal, we're too behind the curve as far as depth goes and as far as what we need to be able to play catch up in the transfer portal. It needs to be attacked. They need to know. They need to have a game plan starting now. They need to know where these guys' heads are at, and they need to have a game plan going in this transfer portal season. 100%. Running back job to Johnson instead of Gabe. There's no doubt in my mind Emmett Johnson's the guy going forward. He was the guy that I talked about in the running back preview coming into this season, one of the people that I was most excited to see, because watching his film, I mean, he's great. His film's great. He's a little bit smaller, but the dude can run. He can push. He can fight for yards. And he was wildly efficient against some tough defenses in the season. And he wasn't even the guy coming into, all season. Before the season started, what's more indicative to me of his talent was the fact that he was getting 50-50 reps with the first teamers out of fall camp. And so the writing was on the wall for him all season. This shouldn't have come as a surprise to anybody that he came out there. He was getting 50-50 reps with the first teamers out of fall camp. So they were high on him. He wasn't just thrusting the roll. They were high on him coming to the season. So I don't expect it to change. I think he will be the guy going into next year. Need depth at the running back position, naturally. Of course, Gabe Irvin would have been really nice to have him, Ramir Johnson back there, wouldn't it have? Ramir Johnson, you just hate to see it because of his injuries throughout his career. So we'll still have Mike Riley. Ooh, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, please. Do not put Mike Riley back on the sideline. No. Linhart thing, keeping him as well. Yep. Cam Linhart. Anthony Grant is vastly improved. Baylor in 2018. Damn, man. This was his COVID. Okay, so I thought he had one more. That's unfortunate. Okay, cool. Offensive line needs to vastly improve the recruiting. I appreciate you updating me on that. Kemp was redshirt at Virginia, COVID year, role at Baylor. Bryce Turner on the team, still young receiver. Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is there's a lot of guys that we haven't mentioned that are young guys that again have been talked about in the program as being guys that haven't seen the field yet. The staff is very very high on, and so those are the guys that we're not seeing that are coming to the picture. Even then, those guys aren't going to be the guys that are going to be the difference makers when we step on the field next year. Those guys are still not experienced. A couple of those will step their way up and improve and crack, starting roster of two deeps on the depth chart. But those two deeps, I'm hoping we're not looking at a ton of true freshmen and redshirt freshmen next year. So might be a bowl game. They're not a game. Yeah. So that I believe, like I said earlier, I think that comes down to grades or like academics. Some certain, I think it's like the highest team. I don't know if it's like GP. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's some academic related that they reward those teams. So I don't know where to look for that. I don't know where we stand with that. So I'm just going to assume that we're heading to the offseason, no bowl game, because I don't want to get my hopes up. Huskers still might get a bowl game. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It was Virginia. Okay. Virginia. All right, guys. Well, so, I understand everybody's where everybody's head's at right now with Rule. I understand where everybody's head's at with Satterfield. I understand where our head's at with the emotion of this game. Still in good hands. Sorry. I'm going to say it. We're still in good hands. The future's still ahead of us. Everything we want is still ahead of us. This team made progress, team made strides. We are very emotional right now. The way we lost the last few weeks with one game to bowl eligibility, I'm sorry. There was no way that we're going to come out of this feeling good about anybody or anything. So let's gear up for this offseason, right? I'm going to be right here with you out through this offseason. We're going to get through this. We're going to be able to we're going to be taking a look at all the recruiting. We're going to be taking a look at the transfer portals. We're going to be monitoring players in and out. We will get a time for our live streams going forward. So that way every week, we're going to be on here doing our live streams as usual. So be on the lookout for that in the community posts and stuff like that. We will get that time set up, for after the college football playoff and all that's done. As of now, it's on that Thursday still. So once the college football playoff and stuff is done, monitor that just to make sure that you are here with us on our live stream so we can monitor all the recruiting, the coaching news and stuff like that. Hopefully positive news this offseason. I'll be recording any breaking news and stuff like that for y'all. So just stick with us, stick with me here, and brighter days are ahead. This is the bottom. It's all up from here. And I do appreciate everybody who has been with me each and every post game. I recognize a lot of y'all's name in here. I'll just name a few. We got Kyle, we got Drizzle Stick, Mr. Mark's been here a couple times, Bone Leg Corn Fed, Fongwei, Jackson's even in here. So Mr. Mark, Kyle, yeah, all of y'all. I appreciate everybody who's been here with me every week on these post games. And like I said, going forward, just stick with us. We're going to be in this recruiting. We're going to be in the thick of it. This is the most important thing right now. And I'll be here to bring it all to y'all as soon as I can. So I really appreciate that, Kyle, man. Thank you. Had a fun season here in these post games. So yeah, let's keep it rolling to the off season. Keep our heads up. Again, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with your families. I hope everybody's family's happy and healthy. At the end of the day, big picture. That's what matters the most. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Black Friday with your family. And yeah, it's up from here, guys. We'll get it going. Matt Rule is the guy. I don't know about Satterfield, but we'll figure that out in time. So again, thanks everybody who joins me every week. Find a quarterback. Yes. Merry Christmas. Yes. I'll leave y'all with find a quarterback. All right. Everybody, like I said, enjoy the rest of your Friday. If you haven't yet, please leave a like on the channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and head over to Mark's channel at the Voice of College Football to stay in tune for all the upcoming bowl games and stuff like that. He'll have all coverage of that. And then you can get over there and talk ball for the rest of the season for as long as it plays out. So thanks, everybody. And I will catch y'all on our live stream next week. Peace out.